As the city of Philly processes the elimination, we peek into the future, and it's important here to follow the money. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid are slated to make a combined $100.6 million next season. The salary cap is projected to be $112 million. So those three players could account for roughly 90% of the Sixers cap. As you can imagine, the reaction today from a series of disappointment was direct.
We have to remember, Doc has won a championship, so he knows what he's doing. Listen, when you're the second best player on your team, we say, hey, he's a star. He's been an all-star. You got to perform like one. And Ben Simmons did not do that. He wasn't aggressive. But the Sixers lost this series in Game 5. Now it's time for a new destination and a new place for Ben Simmons. It'll be great for him. It'll be great for the organization.
Ben Simmons has got to go. He's 24 years of age. He's a star talent. And I'm not saying that Ben Simmons should be given up on because he's some scrub or anything like that. I know Philly.
Yeah.
I worked there for 17 years. I was a columnist for my last. And let me tell you something right now. That city ain't going to ever forgive him for what they have seen. And here's why. Not just that he missed shots. He didn't take them. Ben Simmons is literally scared to shoot the basketball.
They got to sit Ben Simmons down and say, Ben, are you going to work on your game? You know, I hear all these people talking about, well, they got to trade Ben Simmons. Greeny, what NBA team that watched the last 5 games don't give up a ton to get Ben Simmons? What would you give up for Ben Simmons right now? There's no team in their right mind, even if it's a bad team, what are you willing to give up to get Ben Simmons? I'm not giving up a lot. He's owed like $140-something million. I'm not going to give a guy $140 million that I can't play in the fourth quarter of a game.
Feels like Carson Wentz 2.0 in Philadelphia. NBA insider Brian Windhorst joining us now. Wendy, we'll see if the Sixers keep Simmons or not. Regardless of team destination, next season, this offseason, what is the plan to turn things around and get better on the floor?
Well, the first thing is I've been told he is unlikely to play for Team Australia in the Tokyo Olympics, which is a blow for the Australians who are medal hopefuls. They were planning to start training this week in Los Angeles. So he is going to focus the summer on skill development. And Kevin, one of the things that I have been told is on the table, hasn't been decided, but is on the table, is examining whether he changes his dominant shooting hand from left to right. Now, that is a radical thing to do. He is ambidextrous. He does do some things in his life right-handed. It isn't insane. There are some statistical measures out there that show he's not bad shooting with his right hand. But that's obviously a big change and would take some period of time to implement. But Ben Simmons, I believe, is going to get serious about trying to address this in his months off coming up.
And Wendy, when you look at this specific situation, this is not a wild thing. A lot of people have thought for the last 5 years he's been shooting with the wrong hand. So we will see if that happens and if it does, if he gets comfortable. So it's now the Hawks heading to Milwaukee, Eastern Conference Finals. And when you look at what happened heading into the weekend, both the Hawks on the road stealing a Game 7, the Bucks on the road stealing a Game 7. When did things change here for Giannis when it comes to the fortunes?
Well, you have to look at this. They're 1 inch away from having a terrible, devastating loss precipitated by a brain fart from Brook Lopez that he may be wearing the goat horns for a long time on. And now they wake up today with all of their star players healthy, which is important. Even the Hawks coming in, Bogdan Bogdanović dealing with a knee injury. They are going to be limping in a little bit. They're going to be rested in this playoffs where the Clippers had a day and a half between rounds. They get 3 whole days. And maybe most importantly, Kevin, they've got home court advantage as the number 3 seed. Here they are hosting to begin the Eastern Conference Finals. Things are going their direction. Now, I'd point out the Hawks have won 5 games on the road in this playoffs, including a huge Game 7 win just in Philly. So that's not to be discounted. But the Bucks' fortunes have changed massively. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is their best opportunity to win a title since Kareem and Oscar Robertson were there. That's just the situation they find themselves in.
Yeah, and when you mention those two guys, you got to go back 5 decades. We will see if that happens here as Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Milwaukee is on Wednesday.
Ben Simmons trade. What's the latest on that? Yeah, Philadelphia continues to canvass the league. They're asking a steep price for Ben Simmons, as you would expect they would. I think their hope is, and Ben Simmons' hope is, that they can find a deal somewhere before the start of training camp. You know, Philly was on the phone yesterday. I expect they'll be talking to teams again today. You know, they want an all-star level player. They want multiple first-round draft picks, pick swaps. So they'll continue to do that, see if they can find a team that meets something close to that price. But remember, Ben Simmons has 4 years left on his contract. The Sixers can simply bring him back to training camp again.
All right, free agency set to begin again today, 6 p.m. Eastern. Rookie extensions, including those for guys like Trae Young and Luka Doncic, can't be discussed until midnight Eastern. Big day in the NBA, which means it's a busy day for Woj, who's given us the very latest here on SportsCenter.
Keep it going now with NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins live on SportsCenter. All right, Perk, we know about Ben Simmons. We know about the share of struggles he's had last season in Philly, actually the last couple of years. I mean, what do you think? Would he be better off moving somewhere else, clean slate, starting over, or do you say he stays and they figure things out with Doc Rivers?
Well, first of all, Sage, it's all on Ben Simmons, right? Ben Simmons has to take his career more seriously. And when I say this is he has to put more emphasis in working on his craft, getting better. We're watching a guy like Giannis get better. We watch Giannis knock down free throws when it matters. We watch Giannis attack the basket. Ben Simmons has to put in the offseason work. Now, here it is when it comes down to the Philadelphia 76ers situation. They're not just going to give up Ben Simmons for nothing. I feel like a fresh start for him, a new situation will be better for Ben because he needs to play with the ball in his hands. He needs to play like a Sabonis-type player where he's doing dribble handoff actions, facilitating, kicking out to guys for three-point shots, rolling to the basket. But Philly is not just going to give him up. So with that being said, he has to work on his game because he could possibly be back in the Philadelphia 76er uniform next season. And here's the thing. All he needs to do is work on his free throws. Here's why I say this, Sage. If he work on his free throws, then he builds his confidence up to start attacking the basket again.
Right,
but if he don't want to go to the free throw line or he's scared,
for a long time, years about Ben Simmons, you know? At what point do the Sixers say, okay, enough is enough because this has been happening and we haven't seen that improvement?
I understand that, Sage, but listen to me. I understand, look, you're up there, I'm loving the background with the red dress. Everything is on point. Listen what I'm trying to tell you, okay? The Sixers, we have to realize Ben Simmons is still a all-NBA caliber player.
Right.
The man finished second for his Defensive Player of the Year voting, okay? And I get it. This is why I was telling you that the Sixers, right? Yes, they're looking to shop him. And yes, they probably want to upgrade. But if they're not going to get back a all-NBA caliber player or all-star caliber player, then he's going to be in the 76er uniform. And it's on Ben Simmons to go and do his job. He getting paid $30+ million a year. He got to go get it done.
Yeah, regardless of where.
More misery for Doc Rivers. I actually hated this. He dropped his 4th straight Game 7 tie for the longest streak in NBA history. He also has 29 losses with a chance to clinch a playoff series, the most all time. And you talked about missed opportunities, right, Kevin?
Oh, yeah.
The 4th quarter, we got to discuss the lack of aggressiveness from Ben Simmons. 4th quarter field goal attempts for the Sixers. Joel Embiid on top. You'd expect that. He had 41. Tobias Harris, only other player with more than 13. We're just scrolling. Look, we're just going and go. Curry, Milton. Look, just keep going.
Wow.
Simmons all the way down there. Dwight Howard had twice as many. Here's Doc today.
I'm positive in Ben. I'm very bullish on Ben still. But there's work, Mark. There is. And Ben will be willing to do it. And that's the key. Sometimes you have to go through stuff to see it and be honest with it. There's areas that he can fix quickly, in my opinion, and get better in that will take him to another level. I look at this as a great challenge, but definitely a doable one. I don't think the average person understands how hard it is to win. It's like, you guys didn't win it again. Well, Neither did 29 other teams. Having said that, I believe we can. And I do believe we can. The pain has to drive you, but the will to win has to drive you even more.
So a little bit of a turnaround from Doc last night when he was very non-committal about whether he could win a championship with Ben Simmons there. As we say hello to our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Of course, now here comes the questions about Ben Simmons' future in Philly. Woj, what are you hearing?
Elle, I think that the challenge for the Sixers right now is to not exude a desperation that they have to move Ben Simmons or they're even going to move Ben Simmons because, listen, his trade value right now is not what it has been in the past with the kind of thud of an ending he had in Philadelphia. So there's kind of a dual path here of him, if his willingness is to get into the gym, to work on that shot, as Doc Rivers indicated they had a plan for him this summer. And then, listen, the Sixers are going to have to listen to what might be out there, what are the deals that might present themselves, and none of them may be good enough to part with Ben Simmons when perhaps his value could increase if he is able to work on that shot this summer, come back next season, and get off to a better start. So I think for Philadelphia, with the kind of exit they had, I know they're going to be open to everything, but they can't just go out with a disposition of we're going to move Ben Simmons no matter what. The right deal would have to be there, and he's still a player that winning with him might be better than what you can get right now for him.
We were literally just, 8 days ago talking about he had changed really the face of this series with how he was guarding Trae Young. So you certainly don't want to make an emotional decision for someone who brings that kind of defensive prowess. I do want to talk about the Western Conference Finals. You're in Phoenix right now for it, and we're following this developing story. Sun star point guard Chris Paul missing yesterday's Game 1 against the Clips after being placed into the league's health and safety protocols last Wednesday. Devin Booker was just completely unconscious, leading Phoenix to a victory with his first career triple-double in 420 career games. Here's his head coach, Monty Williams.
To be totally straight, I had no clue. I knew we would compete. I knew that the guys would have great intentions on defense and try to make the right plays, but there's no sample size for that. Western Conference Finals, you're without Chris Paul. I didn't know what to expect as far as from a production standpoint, but I knew that the guys would compete. I knew we would try to do the right things. It's just hard to forecast when you don't have Chris on the floor.
We had no Monty update today, Woj, and we're just over 24 hours away from Game 2. What more can you tell us about when we could see P3 on the floor?
Elle, I'm told that there's still uncertainty about Chris Paul's return for Game 2 against the Clippers on Tuesday. But there's optimism that his return is going to be sooner than later in this series. Perhaps by the time the Suns go to L.A. to play a Game 3 on Thursday. So there's optimism. They're going to get him back in the early part of this series, but unclear if that means Game 2.
He is the heart of this team, which is why they FaceTimed him as soon as they got that one. Our Basketball Power Index says if Chris Paul is listed as active for Game 2, well, the Suns' chance of winning the series, 72%. Adrian.